Kyle Austin, Mike Griffith here at the Cotton Bowl, still catching our breath a little bit after Michigan State's 42-41 dramatic come-from-behind victory. And Mike, how do you kind of start to put this into words, what they did today and what this kind of means for them?
You know, it was a classic. Michigan State jumped out to a 14-7 lead, and then Baylor scores the next 27 points in a row, and it's kind of a, boy, we've been here before and seen this. You know, Ohio State had a 28-3 run. I think Oregon scored 3 or 4 touchdowns in a row. But this time, Michigan State showed some more resilience. Mm-hmm. And I think it all started, Keith Mumphrey hauls in a 50-yard pass in the fourth quarter. The wheels get turning. Michigan State's offense catches some life. And then things start happening. We saw a recovered onside kick. We saw Baylor misclank a field goal off the side. We saw Baylor with a turnover on downs. And slowly but surely, Michigan State grabbed the momentum, Kyle. Still, with 1:05 left, it looks like Baylor's going to clinch the game on a field goal, right?
And I think that blocked field goal that they get is going to end up being an iconic play. You talk about like the Kyler Ellsworth fourth down stop from the Rose Bowl last year. I think that play is the Cotton Bowl version of that. They needed it. You know, they would either do that or miss, and you don't want to count on a miss. They call a play called Monster. They get a huge push up front. They get that block, and that really set things up for them.
Yeah, and it's kind of poetic when you look at who got it done. You know, Marcus Rush is a guy, I think he only had 1 tackle in the game. I think he had a sack, but, you know, he's making a school record 53rd start. He's the guy that, you know, Shalik Calhoun kind of overshadowed and got the All-American honors and the first team All-Big Ten, and yet us beat guys that cover Michigan State know what Marcus Rush has meant to the program and how many plays he made. And so it was kind of poetic that he was the one to get that block, and then the ball comes up into the hands of another guy who's had kind of a tough season in R.J. Williamson. Interestingly enough, Kyle, 2 years ago when Michigan State beat TCU in the Buffalo Wild Wings Bowl, it was R.J. Williamson, then a redshirt freshman, who recovered a muff punt inside the TCU 5-yard line. So R.J. Williamson with another special teams big play today. He returns it, I don't know, 35, 40 yards? Mm-hmm. And then who makes the tackle for Baylor? Let's just keep the Michigan storylines going on.
Yeah, Michigan native.
Gus Penning, the guy from Jenison who found his way to Baylor through Grand Rapids Community College, Riverside, California, and now he's on the Baylor football team. He makes a touchdown-saving tackle for Baylor, so there was still work for Connor Cook to get done.
Yeah, a lot to talk about today, too. You know, you look at Pat Narduzzi, almost forgotten this is his last game. He comes down from the press box in the fourth quarter. Obviously, the defense is not the story of today, based on, what Baylor was able to do throwing for 600 yards, but he still, the cameras caught him and Antonio crying together basically after again. If you saw that moment.
Yeah, Narduzzi didn't want to talk about it.
Antonio did. He said, he kind of avoided talking about it this week, but he really said he's very happy to send him off like this. He says this is just a life, moment to really leave him with. Those guys have been together 8 years, and this really meant a lot to them, I think.
You know, it would have been hard to imagine a game more exciting than the Rose Bowl playing out here at the Cotton Bowl. And the Rose Bowl meant a lot. It was the first one in 26 years. It was the last Rose Bowl under that old format. Mm-hmm. But next to being in the college football playoff, Kyle, I can't imagine a better finish for Michigan State football than what we saw today, beating the number 5 team in the country, the number 1 offense in the country without a question. They're number 1 in points scored. They're number 1 in yards. They have the fastest pace. They had a fifth-year senior Traeger throwing it. Mm-hmm. To beat Baylor here in Texas, where they'd won 21 straight games in the manner that they did it, that's just got to send Michigan State football fans to the moon and really create some hope for next year. It could be another top 5 finish. This would be the first time since 1965 and 1966 that Michigan State has had back-to-back top 5 finishes. It's the 4th time in 5 years they'd have 11 wins or more. I think this is going to help the recruiting class. They've already got 3 guys from Texas. And I know there's a lot of other things going on in the Big Ten, but I can tell you after being in that locker room just now, Michigan State doesn't plan on going anywhere. They plan on competing for another Big Ten title next year.
A big part of next year, too, is going to be Trey Waynes and Shalik Calhoun, both considering the NFL. Real quick, both talk to them. Trey makes it sound like it'll be within a couple days. So
yeah.
Count on hearing
both Trey. See you in a couple days, Trey.
Yeah, but Shalik didn't really want to talk about it, so he's kind of leaving things up in the air right now. I know how you probably
kind of figured Shalik. Shalik could have gone last year, been number 1 pick. To me, the big guy coming back, Connor Cook.
Right.
And I know Connor didn't play well, and Connor will be the first one to tell you that's about as inaccurate as he's been in a long time, probably since the Purdue game. Baylor was doing a lot of different stuff.
But then he leads 2 touchdown drives at the end of the game.
That's
so
Connor Cook. I'm just saying, though, getting that guy back to me, I think that's a key for Michigan State. I think Connor Cook gives Michigan State a chance to make the college football playoff, and I wouldn't be surprised to hear his name bandied about a little bit more for the Heisman Trophy. We'll wait and see. Michigan State usually doesn't get that kind of attention, but something tells me more people will be paying attention to the state of Michigan next year.
Yeah, I think
so maybe the Spartans can take advantage of all that extra attention in the state, and Connor Cook can get a Heisman Trophy campaign launched. We'll see.
All right, well, we'll leave it at that here from AT&T Stadium in Arlington. Check mlive.com/Spartans for a boatload of coverage we're working on right now.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll check in with you from East Lansing.